We are kicking off a new series. We're going to try to do some more of these fun videos. And you've heard of comedians in cars getting coffee.
This is Missionaries in Minivans going to meeting.
So we're going to take a little bit more of a humorous, laid-back approach and just answer some of your frequently asked questions on our way up to our meeting this weekend at Glenver Baptist Church.
So a lot of people are asking us, how is deputation? How is pre-field going? You're not down in Florida yet, are you? And there's lots of questions like that going on. So we wanted to kind of bring you an end of July update on how that is going. So Mandy, are we living in Florida yet?
No. The biggest thing is we are actually down percentage because we had to up our housing allowance that we're going to need. So we kind of went from 35% down to about 30%. But we are trying not to be discouraged by that because we have 3 churches that are going to be voting on us in the next few months. And so that's just a big uplifter. So while we did have to go down, we are looking to have another push upward.
The second biggest question that a lot of people ask us is, well, what is your timeline? And that's a tricky question. It's kind of a fake question in a sense. We don't get to make our timeline. That is the unique part about our experience on deputation and pre-field ministry, is that our timeline is God's timeline. And that sounds like a cop-out in a lot of circles, but it's really not. It's more of whenever our fundraising money comes in, that helps determine and dictate what our timing is going to be.
Now, sometimes we like to set goals, but the goals don't always pan out. Like, we were really hoping to be at 50% before summer. That didn't happen. So now we're really hoping to be at 50 or 60% by, September. Again, we're not the ones in control of that. It's God, and God bringing in the funds and bringing along the right people and churches to come and join with us on this mission. Our hopeful goal is to be at EBI this time next year. So if you guys want to pray with us that God would continue to bring people and churches and businesses to come alongside us and support us in this mission, that will ultimately help us get down there faster.
The meeting and missions conference we're actually on the road to right now is to a church that already supports us monthly. And they wanted to have us back for a quick update. And it's one of those things where we love this part of what God has us doing, but we also know that we're called to go do the work of the mission life down at EBI. And so we really are trying to balance our perspective in all of that. It does not make sense. Listen, this whole process does not make sense. It's weird, it's foreign, especially to people who are in a 9-to-5 business or own a business. The whole concept is just kind of wacky in a sense. And I'll be honest, I've struggled with that a lot, where it's been, why can't I just do something and then earn results based off of that? And that's not how this process works at all. And right or wrong, or whatever your opinion of it is, that's where we're at right now. So we are in an encouraging upswing in all of it, but we've definitely had some discouraging seasons as of late where, because we can't control it, we haven't made as much progress as we thought we were going to make. But our control is, or needs to be, the last of our priorities when it comes to what we're doing and how we're living our lives, because ultimately, as missionaries, we need to have complete dependency on God and His call on our lives, and our control matters very little in all of that. All right, Mandy.
Yep.
Last question for now. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
As you're driving up one of the most windy roads you've ever driven on, welcome to the hills of Virginia. what is one thing you're looking forward to this weekend? Because while this church is already supporting us, this is actually your first time going to this church. So what's one thing you're looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to meeting the people of the church because I've heard a lot about them, and the interactions that we've had on like via text or email have been very great, but I, again, have never met them. So I'm very excited to do that. I'm especially excited to meet John Poe's parents because we love John and Debbie very much, and we've heard some great stories about John's dad. So we're very excited to meet them.
Yep.
And they weren't there when you were there.
Correct. I've
So
not met
you
them
get
either.
to meet them too.
Yep. I think the thing I'm excited about the most is just getting to be back with the congregation. But Pastor Matt, so I don't know if I've ever told this story. First time I met the pastor here at this church, didn't know it was him. Thought it was just a guy working in the kitchen with the youth group, maybe like a youth group leader or something. He's in a white t-shirt, a black apron, flipping pancakes with the teenagers in the church on a Sunday morning. And I'm like, wow, this guy's dedicated. This is awesome. And the next thing I know, I turn around and he's got his Sunday morning outfit on and he's getting up to preach. And I was like, wait, that's the pastor? Like, that was just so cool to see him, boots on the ground, serving with the kids, interacting with everybody else in the church. And I just love what they're doing as a church. Their philosophy and ministry right now is really neat. And so I'm excited to kind of see how the church is doing and be back with some just good fellowship.
All right, I am here with Pastor Matt King at Glenver Baptist Church.
Right.
Here in about Salem, Virginia.
That's right.
Right? I think Glenver's technically a town, or no?
Glenver is its own town, but
Okay.
it's kind of like the subsidiary of Salem. So, yeah.
Cool. And for all of you non-geographic people, Roanoke's really close too.
Oh, yeah. About 10 minutes.
That's where the nearest big stuff is.
All the big stuff's in Roanoke.
There we go.
Sure.
All right, and if you don't know where that is, look at a map.
Yeah, it's in Virginia.
It's in Virginia. All right, cool place. By the way, Pastor Matt, I got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
All right, we're starting a new series. You're the guinea pig. Let's see how this goes.
I love it.
All right, if you were to be a missionary in my shoes,
Sure.
what would scare you the most?
King James only churches.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, not at all. I would worry that one of my kids would do something incredibly embarrassing. My daughter would just walk in and just pull her dress up and show everybody, or have a kid with a booger hanging out of their nose. That is totally something I would not want to be a part of.
that is a real fear.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yep, especially in the King James only churches.
And especially in those King James only churches.
You've done some studying. You're a pastor, right? You've
Yeah.
heard of Christology.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of eschatology. We're not going to get into any of that.
Okay.
I haven't found a cool word for this yet, but I'm going to call it for now God humorology.
Got humorology. All right.
What is maybe a Bible account that you've read or something in your life that God has shown you his sense of humor in your life?
The sense of humor in my life. Well, I would probably have to say being able to pray for something and see God reveal it. So, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. My wife and I, we prayed for children. That's all she ever wanted, was to have kids and be a mom. And I prayed for the exact opposite. But no, we were excited to be parents. And so we prayed, and we had some early complications, and we went through a miscarriage and all of this terrible stuff. But then we had our son Matthew, and boy, he was just a blessing. Then we had Nathaniel. We prayed for another child. There was Nathaniel. And then my wife got kind of nervous because she wanted to have a girl. And so she said, let's try one more time. And I said, okay, we got to pray really hard for it. And so we prayed about having a daughter, and she said, man, if we went in for the ultrasound. She said, I need to tell you, if this is a boy, I am just going to cry right on the spot. And so I remember being on the way to the doctor's office praying, God, please, your word says we can ask anything. I'm going to ask, please, let this be a girl, so that Charity does not just sit and cry at this doctor's office, and these people are going to think that I'm some abusive, terrible husband, whatever. Please. So we get to the doctor's office, they do the ultrasound, and they said, you want to know what the sex of the baby is? We said, yeah. And they said, it's a girl. And I thought, yes. And I look over, and Charity starts bawling anyway. So she's just crying. I'm like, that is not the deal we had. And so I'm praying to God. But that's God showing me that, he's going to answer prayers, but we are not going to be able to control every facet of what happens as a result of that answered prayer. And that's a lesson, a humorous one, but one that he's taught me time and again through church ministry.
Last one.
Okay.
Really tough one here.
Okay.
Okay. What is one book of the Bible that you've personally studied?
Yeah.
And you've stopped and sat back and thought, wow, this is like underrated, or more Christians should just sit down and read this book for themselves?
That is a good question. I would probably say my favorite book of the Bible, which is Ecclesiastes, the Old Testament. And in Ecclesiastes, we have the preacher. He's introduced as the preacher, and the idea there is he goes through all this stuff that he's experienced in his life, and it's stuff that everybody can relate to, especially in our culture. And he's like, oh yeah, I had all the money, and we all think, yeah, money. And he's like, and it's garbage. And then he's like, yeah, I had all the women. And we're like, oh, yeah, all the women, and it's garbage. And all these things that people put value on owning for themselves, and how pointless and purposeless it is. I don't even know if that's a word. Don't check me on that, but it is now. But how purposeless all of those things are. And then it's like you just go through 11 chapters of like, you think this is cool? This is not cool. For 11 chapters. Then we get to the 12th chapter and we're like, and at least I was, as a teenager reading it for the first time, I was like, this is a terrible book. Why is this in the Bible? This isn't the book. Go back to Proverbs. So I'm doing that. But I get to the 12th chapter and he says, look, the end of everything, the end of the matter, the last page, just absolutely above all other things, to just fear God and obey his word.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, that's everything.
That is everything.
And people, I think we overcomplicate everything in ministry, and it comes down to fear God and obey him.
Yep. Good stuff.
Give me cameo. You guys leave him?